You're tuning into the High Performance Path podcast, and I'm your host, Alex. If you want to increase your productivity, enhance your mental performance, hack your sleep, and build a bulletproof body, then you're in the right place. Get ready as we dive into interviews with performance coaches, business owners, and health professionals to find out their daily routines, habits, and movement practices. All right, let's go. All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of the High Performance Path podcast. Today, I have two guests on the show with me. We have Cody and Reese here. Welcome.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Thanks for having us. Yeah, it's good to be here.
So, let's start off the show with introducing yourself to the guests. Just a quick intro. Let's just go, I don't really mind who goes first, but keep it short and sharp, about 2 minutes. Just a quick kind of where you come from, what do you do now? 2 minutes.
Awesome.
Cool.
Who wants to go first?
You go first, Cody.
Cool. All right. Well, my name's Cody. I am currently an operations manager for a mortgage broker, but taking a step into the health and wellness industry. So my background is as a professional dancer and in the entertainment industry. So I've always been surrounded by health and wellness. I've grown up with parents owning gyms and stuff like that. So it's always been my life. And yeah, it's just, that's where we're going right now. So Reese and I are doing our little passion projects right now to try and get into the industry more, but that pretty much sums me up in under 2 minutes.
Yeah,
Easy.
that's it. So my name is Reese. I'm 26 years of age. I had to think about that then.
Okay.
Same as me.
Same as you, yeah. Grew up in Newcastle. Went to school here, studied occupational therapy. And I'm in my second year out at the moment. So I'm a qualified OT. Always same sort of thing as Cody. Always had an interest in both, mostly physical health up and for the majority of my life. And then as I've gotten older, taken an interest in the psychological mental health side of things, particularly interest in the men's health space. So that's kind of my take on, you know, our position in the health and wellness space and sort of my reasoning behind why we've started our own podcast, and I'm sure we'll go into that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
awesome stuff. All right, well, let's go into that. So you guys have started your own podcast. Yeah. So if anyone does want to find out a little bit more about your story and stuff, I know you guys have done an episode each, so you guys can check that out. So what's that called? So the listeners can check that out. And why did you start your own podcast?
Yeah, cool. So it's called the Connect and Rise podcast. We started it because we're really passionate about a lot of different areas of health and wellness, and we wanted a platform to be able to speak freely about that, inspire people, educate people, and just have a safe space. So the name has a different reasons why it came up. C and R, Connect and Rise, Cody and Reese.
Yeah, we tried to intertwine that in.
I didn't put that together.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's normally just the actual words.
Yeah. And then Connect and Rise is, we both think it's really important for people to connect with each other in order to become your best self. So Connect and Rise.
Yep, rise to the occasion sort of thing. That was the name
Yeah.
behind it. So yeah, that was I'd had the thought for quite a while, and we got to the point where we're like, let's just do it. I think you said on our podcast last week, actually, you said the barrier to entry is so low for something like a podcast. And it's so true. Like anyone can sort of just go out and start one if you're willing to teach yourself and learn along the way. So we've sort of committed to that, and it's a platform for us to be able to share our own experiences and, you know, open the minds of others to, you know, a different way of thinking, a different way of living. So
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Show how
Yeah.
easy it is.
All right. So I know both of you know how important it is to live a healthy and holistic kind of lifestyle. So how do you make sure that you cover all bases of living kind of like a healthy life?
yeah. So I think like from the outside looking in, we both try and cover off on like 4 main areas, I guess, of living a holistic lifestyle. And they are physical health, mental health, emotional health, and spiritual health.
Yeah.
And I think we both try and incorporate those 4 areas into, you know, our individual lifestyles, or the lifestyle that we live together.
So they're 4 key areas of well-being.
So how do you
the foundation.
how do you two make sure that you do cover all those areas? Or were
Cool.
you going to go into those 4, were you?
Yeah, so
What were you gonna
they're
add
the
on
4 areas of well-being. So that's how we make sure that our well-being so holistic is whole and balanced.
Yeah, what were those 4 areas again?
So physical, mental, emotional, and spiritual.
Yeah.
And they're the 4 key areas of well-being. So to live a holistic lifestyle, we actually have 5 key aspects that we focus on, I suppose, to cover off those 4, if that makes sense without confusing anyone.
Yeah, let's dive into those. So
Cool.
how do you kind of make sure that you do have all those 4 key areas of what was it, a holistic lifestyle?
Of a holistic lifestyle. Yeah, cool.
So how do you kind of do that?
You go first.
Cool.
Yep.
All right. Well, to start off with food, so we make sure that we eat a balanced, healthy diet. We try to focus a lot of our diet being around plant-based. We do eat meat. We're not vegetarian. We're not vegan, but probably 80% of our diet is plant-based.
Yeah.
That has naturally just happened through being more conscious of what our body enjoys eating and how we feel after eating those foods. So after eating plants, we feel light and energized. So we tend to steer towards that more. We still believe in balance, so on the weekends we still will go out and have burgers and wings and stuff like that.
Definitely.
But yeah, we
Yep.
try to focus our main meals around plant-based and obviously getting enough water in. So a part of diet, I consider water as being
hydration.
a massive factor of that.
Yep.
That's the first one. Do you want to go into one?
For that area.
Yeah.
Or do you both follow kind of a similar diet, or do you eat slightly differently? Like, I mean, if you both have different kind of training goals, you might eat slightly different, or is it kind of the same?
I think both of us, it would be fair to say, like, we eat fairly similar. Obviously, we live together, so that plays into it quite a bit. So we try and prep in advance. So we'll prepare food on the weekend, for example, for lunches for the week.
Yeah.
And we both have the same lunches on most days. Breakfast is usually the same.
Dinner, same.
Dinner's, actually,
We eat the same.
it's pretty well the same. Like, you
Yeah.
know, there might be a day or two through the week here and there that we eat differently, but it's mostly the same. And then I guess, as you said, it comes back to what our goals are with fitness. And I think we both do a similar sort of training. So our goal, or my goal from my perspective, is to sort of just stay generally well, physically and emotionally, basically. And so we don't have specific sport-based goals. We're not, we don't, or aesthetic goals. It's just to feel well. And I think as a byproduct of that, you generally look well. But our goal, I guess, is just to feel and move well, basically.
Yeah.
Awesome goals.
Yeah.
So that's the first one.
Yeah.
So
That's
diet
number
or
one.
nutrition, that's the first one. What's
Diet.
the second one?
Is just to live an active lifestyle. So that for us doesn't necessarily mean going to the gym every day and smashing out a hardcore workout. Yes, we do like to do that. We do a lot of HIIT training. We go to 2 gyms actually. So we go to one for HIIT training and then one which is more of just like a commercial gym where we do our own thing. I'll focus on like Pilates and stretching, and Reese will focus on strength and weights.
Yeah.
But as long as we move our body most days or every day of the week, that's how I think we live an active lifestyle.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's about to change a little bit too. And we just spoke about, we don't play, well, I play cricket now, but it's socially, so it's not like a serious sort of sport where I'm training particularly for cricket. It's not something that you typically need to do unless you're sort of playing a really high level. But I'm going to play football again this season, so Aussie rules, AFL. So that is, and if I was to play, I'd be playing sort of towards the higher grades. So that, I think, will introduce some changes into the way I eat and the way I train.
Yeah,
It will
definitely.
definitely need to be steered.
Yeah, the boys.
Yeah, the boys.
How long ago since you played AFL?
We were trying to figure this out last night. So I did my first pre-season session last night.
Oh, nice.
Which was very tough, but really good bunch of guys. It's been maybe 4 or 5 years, I'd have to say, at least 4, since I played properly. I played under 18s and then played a couple of years after that, and I'm 26 now, so it'd be around the 5-year mark. So definitely a bit dusty in the skills department, and the fitness, obviously, unless you're playing the sport and practicing it, for what it is, it's really hard for anything else to sort of carry over. You need to practice that skill.
Yeah, most sports have a very specific fitness.
Yep.
And even if you stay fit, if you don't do that specific sport,
Yeah.
you lose that specific fitness.
Yeah,
You really
for sure.
do. Yeah. So that's sort of like at the moment is being reintroduced into my life anyway, and it will likely change the way I eat. I'm probably going to have to eat a little bit more because my caloric output's going to be a lot higher with the training that I'm doing.
Yeah.
But in terms of types of foods, I think they'll fairly well, stay pretty consistent. But it's just going to be that total amount of food that I'm going to be consuming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sweet.
All right, cool. So that's 2. So number 3 we focus on is having a well mind and practicing mindfulness. That sort of covers off the mental, emotional, and spiritual all in one side of well-being. That looks a little bit different for both of us, I think.
Yeah. Do you want to start on how it looks for you at the moment?
Yeah, cool. So for me, that looks like meditation nearly every single day, whether that be morning or night. I meditate most mornings just to set myself up in a calm mind to make sure that I'm not stressed and anxious.
It sets your day up pretty well when you start with that.
Yeah,
it does, yeah.
It does.
Within that, I do a lot of breathing like techniques, whether it be 30 seconds or it be 5 minutes. I focus a lot on my breathing.
Do you use an app or anything for the breathing or the meditation?
For breathing, no. For meditation, yes. I use an app called Bloom, which has a lot of guided meditations, mindful movements, and Kundalini.
What's Kundalini?
It's
I've never heard of that.
It's new to me, mate.
It's a pretty out there type of meditation. It's a lot of I'm not really into it, but it's a lot of mantras, almost chanting.
Oh yeah.
Like it's very traditional.
Yeah.
Some people love it, some people don't. I haven't found my place in it.
I know what it is now. You put one of those on one night just as we were going to sleep. I remember thinking, what is this?
It's like someone's
really
been
intense.
possessed.
It sounds like transcendental. I don't know how to say that word. Transcendental meditation.
Yeah.
Basically, that's like chanting a mantra just over and over again, and it's kind of hypnotizing.
Yeah.
I've never tried it, but I've looked into different styles of meditation because I've been learning meditation myself, and I have looked and read about that, and it sounds like that's pretty similar to that.
I think it would be Kundalini.
Interesting.
So
very interesting.
Yeah, so for meditation, I'll use Bloom. I use a lot of different apps here and there. Sometimes I do my own. I'll just have like a purpose for it and go with it. What else do? I journal sometimes. I gratitude journal most days, and I like to spend time in nature or outside whenever I can to clear my mind.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of those like crossover for me, slightly different in terms of the guided meditation. Like I really enjoy the guided meditations that Cody puts on overnight, especially if I'm feeling sort of wound up just before I'm going to bed, or I feel like my body's not ready for sleep as such. They really, really help. So guided meditations, I don't really do those outside of bedtime. My sort of mindfulness, I guess, is different in the sense that I like time to myself, just to think with no sort of background, no distractions, basically, no music, just time to think inside my own head and really reflect on my own thoughts. So for me, that could be like the drive to work, for example. On the mornings where I'm feeling sort of positive and ready to attack the day, for example, I might throw a podcast on the way to work. But then on other days where I might have that sort of anxious feeling in the car, a little bit overwhelmed before these tasks even hit me for the day, I intentionally turn everything off and sort of allow myself that time to think. It might be 5 minutes, 10 minutes in the car before I actually go into work, just sit there in silence. That really works. That really works for me. Physical activity, and I know there's a crossover between everything that we're about to talk about, but physical activity is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Pushing myself like really hard in a workout and sort of pushing yourself into that space that's not comfortable to the point where it's like a form of mindfulness to me. And I'm sure there's plenty of people that can relate. You'd be able to relate to this. It's where everything else that seemed important before walking into that gym is irrelevant because you're purely focusing on trying to get yourself through this really physically intense sort of session. So that's sort of how it looks for me. Yeah.
I think it's interesting you bring that up because anything that you're with your own thoughts
Yep.
is a form of meditation.
That's right.
exactly.
And just driving to work in the car with no music or anything on,
It's meditation.
that's a form of meditation. People
Yeah.
don't look at it like that.
Mm.
Even if you're sitting on the toilet,
That's it.
that's
Deep
a
in
form of
thought.
meditation. Now, what
Yeah.
I know a lot of people do it. They sit and they pull their phone out
Yeah.
Yeah.
and they miss like a 5-minute meditation.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so they're missing that, which you don't think of it as meditation, but it is. And training.
Yep.
Like you said, no, everything is irrelevant. And you're just there with the thoughts in your head. You just want to get through this workout. You got no distractions. Nothing else matters.
Yep.
And you know what's interesting? Since Apple have brought out iPhones, the good thing about the gym, because I coach at a CrossFit gym,
Yep.
no one has their phones on them.
Mm.
It's great. No one's distracted. Everyone is just present in whatever is going on in
Yeah.
that session, that workout.
Yeah.
Now, with the Apple Watches, people don't have their phones, but they can still get their messages and their calls, even in a fucking gym workout.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Of
hate
all
it. It's
places.
the worst thing.
Yeah.
I don't think I'll ever get an Apple Watch because you don't want that distraction on your wrist
No.
all the time. Like people think, oh yeah, it's convenient. I will never miss messages, any important calls or whatever. Like if you're in the gym, you just need an hour without your phone. You can do without it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%.
Definitely.
That just it was kind of a little bit off topic, but I
Yeah.
just wanted to bring that up because it kind of reminded me of
Yeah.
just being present
Yeah.
in the
Definitely.
workout in a gym.
Yeah.
No, it ties back to what you said, I think, in that people think those that might have something like an Apple Watch on during a workout and be distracted, I think are the types of people that just think of physical activity as purely like for physical benefit. They don't
Yeah.
think of that as a form of mindfulness.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's great to think that, meditation doesn't need to be sort of sitting sitting in nature with your legs folded, breathing through one nostril, for example. Like it can be like in so many
So
forms.
many,
It's
yeah.
just completely dependent on the individual.
So the best ideas always come to you when you're in the shower or when you're just
Yeah.
driving in the car and you're like, I got to write this down, but I'm
Yeah.
driving. I can't do anything.
Exactly.
The best ideas come to you because you're kind of just in your thoughts.
That's
Yeah,
right.
exactly. And like you said before, a lot of these things we do discuss will cross over, but that is the whole meaning of holistics. That's the purpose of it.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on to number 4 is focusing on relationships. So a lot of the time when people think health or just health, they don't think about relationships coming into that. But we both believe that the relationships truly affect your well-being because they affect your mindset, the way you feel. So a really important part of how we live a holistic, healthy lifestyle is to make sure that the relationships we have contribute positively and serve us, I would say.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it.
Yeah.
It's a relationship between obviously us, and
yeah.
the relationship that we share together, but relationships with people at work, with family, with friends, even with people that you don't know, because their interactions, their relationships that you are exposed to, and they're after every interaction that you have, I think you can make a conscious choice as to whether you want to, see more of that and see more of that interaction and more of that person or not. And I think like a good way to look at it is just being conscious of the people you're surrounding yourself with and making mindful, choices as to whether you want to see that person more or not.
Yeah, and the reason why that isn't there as well is because if you have negative relationships in your life, it can cause a lot of stress on your body, and stress that is one of the worst things that can happen to your body. It causes inflammation, oxidative stress, all this stuff. So if you've got stressful relationships in your life and you're not focusing on doing something about them, you're always going to have that stress put on you and you're not going to be very healthy. So that's why that's a really big factor of ours. There's a quote of the 5 people that you spend the most time with, you become the product of, and I really, truly believe in that. So yeah,
Definitely.
it's a very important part of that. And then lastly is self-care. So it's something that a lot of people do talk about when it's health and wellness, is self-care. We both have very different self-care routines. Being male and female, I suppose that happens naturally. Self-care isn't always pampering yourself either, though. It is all of those things. It's going to the gym, it's doing meditation, it's eating a healthy diet, but it's also doing things that fill up your cup is the way that I would look at it.
Definitely.
So going down to the beach for a walk or having coffee once a week for me is self-care because that makes me feel good and that fills me up. Doing pamper stuff because I'm a girl and that makes me feel good is part of self-care for me once a week. So a nice little face mask. That's sort of me for self-care. It's the normal stuff and then it's the
I'm sure
outside
Reese
the
does that
box.
at home as well.
He loves a
Don't
good
lie.
face mask every so often, so
Behind
you've
closed
definitely
doors,
had
mate,
one
who knows?
here and there.
That's
What
it.
do you do that I wouldn't for self-care? Anything?
I think a lot of it crosses over. My self-care is a lot of what I've just spoken about. So taking time to myself, giving myself some time, off the gym, like away from work, for example. Like if I'm like I've just been through a phase where I've changed jobs, and that was a period for me where I realised like this work is not serving me. So self-care for me in that instance was like, taking all of that into consideration and making a conscious choice on behalf of myself, despite what others around me may have thought. So that is what that looks like for me. But in terms of like, self-care that's more relatable to I guess most people, it's the physical side of it. It's making sure that I'm, psychologically sound and I'm not in that fight or flight response, and doing things and implementing that day to day to make sure that I'm the best version of myself, I guess.
Yeah. That's all 5 areas.
Cool. So let's quickly go over all 5.
Yep.
So-
So eat a healthy, balanced diet, including water. Live an active lifestyle. Have a well-minded practice mindfulness. Focusing on relationships and self-care.
Boom. There you go.
Boom.
I like it. All right, let's move on. I've got some questions, just some quick questions for you guys.
Cool.
So I want a book recommendation from both of you. Doesn't
Yeah,
have to
that's
be
good.
doesn't have to be related to health and wellness.
Yeah.
Just
Cool.
any sort of book.
Cool. Well, mine is called The Universe Has Your Back. I can't remember her name. I know it's Gabrielle something. It is a book I'm actually reading right now. And the reason I recommend it is because it is a little bit like spiritual. So if you're not into spirituality, maybe you won't enjoy it. But it has a lot of meditations throughout each chapter. So you'll read a chapter and then it will give you a meditation specific to what you've just read about, which I think is awesome.
Oh, yeah.
I've really, really enjoyed it. And it's the first book I've ever found that I'm taking notes from. I'm not one who usually does that. So yeah, that's a book I recommend.
Cool.
Yeah. We spoke about this briefly when you came on our podcast. Is I've got this, I don't know where it come from, but I've got this interest in the military and the mindset that goes into like high performance military personnel, I guess. So the book I'm reading at the moment is actually the follow on from Warrior Training. So I'm reading Warrior Brothers at the moment by Keith Fennell. He is an ex-SAS operator.
Is he Aussie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. And I just the way he writes about his experiences, both training to be selected to work as an SAS operator, and then his experiences in the military. I'm just really interested in like the mindset and the grit and the resilience that's required to obviously be accepted into a role like that, but also to maintain and sustain that sort of lifestyle. Just really fascinates me. So I'm reading Warrior Brothers at the moment by Keith Fennell. Can't recommend it enough. There's a lot of lessons in it for, I don't have a military bone in my body. I wear camo pants every now and then, but
Makes you an army.
but there's lots of lessons in it, in the fact that, you can carry those lessons over to everyday life, challenges, situations that may not be ideal, to sort of flip your mindset and allow you to get through it.
Sweet. Netflix recommendation. What have you watched that you recommend? Movie, series, whatever.
Series on
Documentary,
Netflix.
yeah.
Animal Kingdom. Animal Kingdom is a must watch. I reckon we watched
It's not
that together.
educational,
No.
but it's...
What's that about? I don't know if I've seen it or not. I think I may have seen the one episode.
Would you explain
It's
it?
like
Is that set in New Zealand?
No,
No.
in the States.
Okay.
So I think there was an Australian movie made that
There
was
was,
titled the same.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
the TV series is the one we're recommending, and it follows an American family. It's like a dysfunctional family that is basically fueled by crime.
Oh, I have seen the first episode. Doesn't
Yeah.
one of the brothers get out of prison?
Yeah.
Right at the
Yes.
start?
Yeah.
Yeah, I know the one you're talking about.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's sick.
What
There's
season
4
are you up
seasons.
to?
We're
So
done.
we're finished.
Oh, you finished?
Yeah, we
We're
finished
waiting
a
for the
long
new
way.
one to come out.
Yeah.
We're like
When's it coming out?
later in this year.
Hopefully,
Can't come fast enough.
can't come soon enough. It's awesome.
And what
Yeah.
about you, Cody?
Mine
You
was.
can't use that.
I know mine was going to be that, but I think I would just say for all the girls out there, any good chick flicks, because that makes me feel good. Whenever Reese isn't home, the first thing I'll do is turn Sex and the City on. Just makes me feel great. The other day he came home midway and I'm like, you're watching the entire thing because I'm halfway through it, and I like was laughing the entire time. They just make you feel good on the inside as a girl. So
And I'll put
any
the
good
cricket on
chick
for the rest of the
flicks.
night.
Yeah.
Yeah, pain in the ass. The worst.
All right, let's move on. I've got some deeper questions now.
Yeah.
Cool.
I don't mind who answers this first, but all right. So, if you traveled back in time 10 years, what advice would you give yourself? Who wants to go first?
I can go first. So for me, I would say, and this is me personally, is to give yourself, cut yourself a bit of slack, and do more things for yourself. So I think, especially in my younger years, I tried to please everyone else and didn't worry enough about myself. And as I've gotten older, I've realised the importance of giving time to myself so I can give the best version of myself to others. So that is what I would say to myself 10 years ago, is just take some more time to yourself.
Good advice. What about you?
Mine would be to focus more on the people that I'm surrounding myself with. As I look back on my past, and I never have regrets. I don't regret anyone I hang around with. Everyone that's been in my life are amazing people in their own way, but I can definitely see how different stages influenced me by the people I was around, and maybe sometimes I could have skipped out on some of the shit that I did. So yeah, like I said, I don't regret it, and I'm so glad I did everything at the time that I did it. I'm sure there'll be many more phases that I go through, but it'd just be to surround yourself with people who make you feel good and who love and support you.
Next question. So, if you could place a billboard with whatever you want on it, anywhere in the world, what would it say or show, and where would it be?
Do you want me to go first?
Yeah, you go first. Yeah.
Okay, location for me was really, I don't know. That's really hard in terms of location. I would honestly probably put this anywhere in the world, like any country at any given time, because I think whoever it goes to it will resonate with. But I'd probably put something along the lines of, I don't know what it would say exactly, maybe like, we are all one, we are all human, because I feel like there's still so much difference between people when it comes to culture, the way you look, the way you act, and it's so silly because we are all the exact same animal, we're all human, and we should all be kind and respect one another's differences. So if I could put one thing anywhere in the world, and I don't care where it is, it'd just be that we are all one and we are human.
I like that. We all evolved from the same place,
Exactly.
and we're just separated by imaginary borders
Yep.
that
I know.
kind of make someone from the other side of that imaginary line different.
It's
Yeah.
so
It's
true.
like they're the enemy.
Yeah,
They're not
it's
like us.
so
They were not one of
silly.
us.
I can't stand it. So that's what I would do.
What about you, Reese?
Well, I thought deep and hard about this one because it's a great question. I think it, for me, it made me think about, because it's a message that I want to get out to like the masses, right? So if I could share one message, what would it be? And mine would probably be to let kindness be your default. And what I mean by that is whatever situation you face and whatever circumstances you might be faced with, let kindness in your response be the default and your first go-to, no matter what, and go from there. I think too many people act out of spite and act out of hate and don't come from a genuine place of kindness. And I think if everyone made conscious and repeated efforts to be more kind to people they know, but mostly people that are complete strangers, I think the world would be a different place. And if I was to put that billboard anywhere, it'd be in first world countries, in areas that are quite well off.
Yeah.
Because I feel that's where there's a big divide, and
I
how
like that.
it often comes apart. So
Yeah, I love that.
I just got to restart that.
Okay.
Every 30 minutes it stops recording
Ah,
because it's anyway.
yeah, right.
that's
We got one more question.
Cool.
So if you could give someone a habit to practice for 30 days and they would do that successfully for 30 days, what would it be?
Cool. Me first?
Yep.
Yeah. So mine would be gratitude journaling. I started gratitude journaling as a 30-day trial in June last year. And I thought, I'll do it for 30 days, I'll see how I feel. And it honestly made such a change to my mindset, the way that I think on a day-to-day basis, judgments of people I might have, emotions I might have, everything about my mindset had changed. It sounds so silly because writing 3 things you're grateful for in a morning sounds so simple and like it wouldn't change anything, but it just makes you appreciate how much in your life is going great, because like similar to what you said, it's a default to think about what's going bad and not think about what's going great. So having a little bit more gratitude in your life and spending 5-10 minutes a morning on writing that out and actually thinking about it deep really changes your mindset. So gratitude journaling.
Nice.
awesome. That was on my list as well. So journaling, I'm a little bit guilty for journaling only when I find I really need to, and not journaling consistently when I'm in a good headspace. When I'm in a not so good headspace or there's challenges in my life that I'm trying to overcome, journaling is massive for me. I spoke briefly about the job situation recently, and journaling really helped me get through that. But for the sake of being different, one habit that I think a lot of people should practice, because most people drink alcohol, right, is try not to just go without alcohol for 30 days. Not for the purpose of giving up alcohol long term. We have a drink on most weekends. We don't go stupid with it, but we enjoy it. I would recommend it as a habit to go without for 30 days, just to learn about the response your body has to it and how your body responds without it.
Yeah.
And if you can understand, that the impact that it actually has physiologically in your body, it'll open your mind to a lot.
And then you might make
Some longer
you
term.
might make a different decision when you think about having a big weekend,
Yeah.
or
That's
having
right.
2 or 3 nights out in a row.
100%.
Exactly.
You'll make very different decisions,
Yeah.
I can assure you.
Completely.
Sweet. Well, we got to wrap this up, guys.
Cool.
So, if the listeners want to find out more, where can they find you?
So we both got our own personal Instagram pages. So
Yep.
at Rhys Dintino. So Reese is spelled RHYSDINTINO.
Yeah.
And Cody's is
At Cody Taylor Sanders, so CODIE for Cody. And then for our podcast, we're on all podcast platforms, so Apple, Spotify,
an Anchor. Are the 3 main ones, yep.
Yeah, and it's called Connect and Rise.
Sweet. All right. Well, it's been a pleasure having you guys in. Thanks
Thank
heaps
you.
for coming.
Thanks for having us.
All right, guys. If you enjoyed this, please take a screenshot and share it. I'd love to see who's listening. And also, please subscribe and give a rating on iTunes. Sending positive vibes to everyone out there. Thanks heaps for listening.